had by no means set out to follow a well-trodden path. There is a great deal of originality here. I've had the opportunity to read the book several times and to discuss it at length with the author. With his instinctive grasp of military matters and his distinctive style and innovative approach, he has succeeded in telling this story in an entirely new and refreshing way. Importantly, he has set out to fill in many of the significant gaps in our knowledge. Probably only a professional soldier could have done this. The book really brings the high drama of Isandlwana to life. I found I could smell the gun smoke hanging over the battlefield as I read. There is absorbing human interest too, a glimpse of the pride and the passion of life in the British Army of 1879. I found myself actively disliking some of the characters we encounter, whilst greatly admiring others, and I very much sense that Mike has got them right. His narrative also conveys particularly well the respect that is the rightful due of the determined and tenacious Zulu fighters of 1879. It is not my intention in this brief foreword to outline the technicalities of the author's arguments or his findings. Suffice it to say, there are two key areas which are particularly noteworthy. Firstly, through careful analysis of time and space, he develops an entirely new explanation of the Zulu preliminary moves in advance of the heavy fighting. This aspect alone directly challenges the orthodox interpretation of the battle, but there are many other thought-provoking ideas within these pages. The second point of note is the author's vivid insight into the character, the tactics, and the fighting skills of the immensely tough and highly experienced 24th Regiment. It fought an intense but orderly fighting withdrawal from extended defensive positions through to a final stand at the foot of Isandlwana. This particular phase of the battle is most often glossed over quickly, as conventionally historians have had next to nothing to draw on. In this account, the author displays a well-founded confidence in the natural doggedness and willpower of the British regular soldier, who, amidst the fear and chaos of battle, has so often had to rely upon pride in his regiment to overcome numerically superior foes. He goes on to explain in thought-provoking detail what might have been in the minds of the officers and soldiers as they fought, the tactics they employed as they struggled for survival, and finally how those last dreadful moments of a very fine battalion were played out. I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know the Isandlwana battlefield well over the last few years, and the particular advantage that having an advanced copy of this book to hand has conveyed in getting to grips with the subject. How Can Man Die Better is a terrific read, and makes for a fine debut by a man who promises to be one of our most readable military historians. Like Wolves on the Fold, his account of the defence of Rorke's Drift follows shortly, and will no doubt offer many new insights into that equally intriguing and most famous of actions. David Keenan. Preface to the first edition. Something kept calling me back. The more time I spent at Isandlwana, the less convinced I became that the historians had mastered the great battle. There were dimensions of time and space that just did not add up. There were major Zulu troop movements that nobody had explained, but which simply had to have a cause or a reason behind them. The destruction of the 24th Regiment was, it seemed, altogether too difficult to piece together. But if ever a tale cried out to be told well, it is the story of this supremely dramatic confrontation. This much we owe to those who fell. About 10 years ago, I set out to unravel the mysteries for myself, the parts of the story that could not be found in the history books, the parts that had been glossed over for an apparent want of evidence. I found that, as a professional soldier, I could sometimes see things on the ground or in the sources which had somehow evaded the historians. Now, whenever I went back to Isandlwana, I went with a specific purpose. Gradually I developed my theories. It took a long time. Every so often some new piece of evidence would come to my attention, and my ideas would come tumbling down around me. I have scrupulously avoided pushing on with favoured theories against the weight of the evidence. Unfortunately, it seems, a common failing in much of today's